a motor vehicle to which I am not operating a motor vehicle. And this is what we are trying to
I guess. Uh,
circumvent.
yeah,
I am
and it's
operating
not
my
it's not
automobile,
circumventing.
not a motor vehicle,
I will ask you this: how is your right to travel removed
by
by
trying
receiving
to
the
require
citation?
me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private vehicle.
Today, we're looking at a very heated courtroom hearing. We have a sovereign citizen who genuinely believes that he doesn't need car insurance because, in his mind, he isn't driving, he's simply traveling. The attorney magistrate spends a significant amount of time dealing with this sovereign citizen, and things get pretty tense between them. Personally, I feel like the magistrate may have taken a bit too long addressing this nonsense, and I'm not sure I agree with that approach. In my opinion, he probably should have shut this guy down much sooner. But I want to hear from you. As you watch the video, do you think the magistrate was too lenient with his sovereign citizen, or do you think he handled the situation exactly the right way? Let's jump into it.
This is a civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $125 fines, costs, and fees. It is a 0-point ticket. And in the second case that ends with the letter B, that same date, time, and place, you were issued a citation for having an expired registration plate. That is also a civil infraction. It is also a 0-point civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $110 fines, costs, and fees. So, first question, is that the ticket or the two cases that you thought you were appearing about, Mr. Williams?
It is.
Okay. And same question to you, Officer Kellums?
Yes, sir.
Very good. In every civil case, the plaintiff has the burden of proof. And in a case like this, that burden of proof is called by a preponderance of evidence.
Only question I have is, will the laws of the U.S. Supreme Court be applicable, and the federal statutes and definitions of motor vehicle and automobile be applicable in this proceeding?
They are the state of Michigan laws that will be applicable.
Okay. The other question is, are you already not bound by U.S. Supreme Court rulings?
Every court is bound by relevant Supreme Court rulings.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure why you're asking that, but that's okay. All right, Officer Kellums, if you would begin, please.
So on November 19th, 2024, I was on patrol for the Battle Creek Police Department when I observed the vehicle that Mr. Roosevelt was driving. I observed that it had expired tags on the vehicle. I then conducted a traffic stop on Fountain Street near Meacham Ave. Found Mr. Williams to be driving the vehicle, where I issued him the citations. When speaking with Mr. Williams, he could not provide insurance, and his tags were expired.
All right. Did Mr. Williams say anything to you during the stop about having insurance or not having insurance, or anything about the tags on the plates, anything like that?
He informed me that he did not have to have insurance due to that he was traveling, and to drive a vehicle, you have to have insurance. Something regarding Supreme Court. That's about all he said.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to consider anything else at this point, Officer Kellums?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could you hear Officer Kellums' testimony?
Yes, I heard his testimony.
Very good. Thank you for your patience. What do I need to know, sir?
Okay, I did inform Officer Kelly that I am not operating a motor vehicle, but I am operating an automobile. I did inform Officer Kelly of the ruling of Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769 Federal 2nd, 1344, where the U.S. Supreme Court's decision has ruled that all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only and not for human creators. In accordance with God laws, all codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process.
All right, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Are you telling me that a case at 769 Fed 2nd, 1344 indicates that all laws are unconstitutional?
This sovereign citizen actually tries to defend himself by bringing up the case Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan as justification for not having insurance. And honestly, that case doesn't help him whatsoever, especially under Michigan law. Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan dealt with a very specific scenario in a completely different state, and it has absolutely no effect on Michigan statutes. In Michigan, you cannot simply claim that you're traveling and expect to bypass the law. I honestly don't even understand why he thought this argument would work. Maybe he believed he could confuse or mislead the magistrate, but that clearly wasn't going to happen. The magistrate went to law school. This sovereign citizen did not. And it's painfully obvious who is going to come out on top here. Let me know in the comments if you even understand why this guy thought bringing up that case made sense, because I genuinely don't understand their reasoning most of the time.
All codes, rules, and regulations. Yes, sir. Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan. And if I'm not mistaken.
And you said that was Department of what?
U.S. Department of Labor.
Okay. U.S. Department of Labor doesn't publish decisions in the Fed second. Can you tell me a little bit more about the case? What was that issue in the case?
It was regarding what we're discussing here, the requirements of a driver's license and the need when it's required to have one, stating that when you're not operating in commerce, to which I informed the officer that I am not operating in commerce as stated in USC 18 USCA 31 paragraph A6 states that a motor vehicle, the term of motor vehicle meaning every description of carriage, contrivance, propelled or drawn or mechanical powered and used for commercial purposes. This is what Title 18 USCA Section 31A6 states or defines as a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating in commerce. I'm not using
for the purposes of that particular chapter of the United States Code. It would not control what happens in terms of the Michigan legislature defining in Chapter 257 what a motor vehicle is, and an automobile under Michigan law is a motor vehicle. But okay, continue.
It's a motor vehicle, which is described as anything, even by the Michigan compliance statute of 751, which you just stated, is determined as something that's transporting goods, which I'm not transporting goods.
I understand your position, and I can tell you that position doesn't happen to be legally correct. But go ahead.
So you're basically stating that there's a misinterpretation of what's in black and white?
This guy is really pushing his luck by testing the magistrate, even trying to put words into the mouth of the person who literally controls his future. That is definitely not a smart move. Seriously, when you're in court, the absolute worst thing you can do is try to outplay or outsmart the person who has the authority to fine you or potentially do even worse. I honestly can't tell whether this guy is just as clueless as most sovereign citizens we see, or if he actually thinks he's playing some kind of mind game with the magistrate, like he believes he's playing chess while everyone else is stuck playing checkers. It's honestly hilarious watching him act like he has all the answers. And it only gets more ridiculous because he starts bringing up even more cases. So let's keep going and see what else he tries to throw out there.
No, I'm telling you that you have misinterpreted the application of 18 USC 31A6 and 769 F second or Fed second 1344.
Okay, but, well, I see what
I've heard your
going,
argument.
So there will be no further arguments because I see that you're not going to agree to, because like I said, when I've given it to you, the cases where they're like Shapiro v. Thompson, where the U.S. Supreme Court has said that a driver license is not a requirement, that you're trying to convert a right into a privilege, to which is covered by Article 1, Section 8.
I'll ask you this. Is that right, the right to travel?
That is a right to travel, convey, however you want it, by the U.S. Constitution.
What you just told me was that somehow but regardless, am trying to convert a right into a privilege. Now, the question I have for you is, what right has been converted to a privilege?
My right to freely travel unencumbered and unfettered.
I will ask you this. How is your right to travel removed by receiving the citation?
By trying to require me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private vehicle.
Okay. All right. Is there
That is
anything
my,
else you want me
that,
to consider?
no, sir.
All right. Well, I can tell you this. The Michigan motor vehicle laws, including the laws that require you to carry insurance, that require your vehicle to be registered, and require that registration to be current, do not run in violation of any right to travel under the Constitution or the United States Supreme Court decision that you have cited. In fact, Michigan courts have held that essentially the right to travel means the right for you to move from A to B, not the right for you to travel from A to B under your most convenient way. So you could walk from point A to B all you wanted. You could take a taxi or an Uber or a plane or a train or a bus. But if you wish to travel by using a motor vehicle, the Michigan laws are applicable and don't unconstitutionally interfere with the right to travel. It doesn't convert the right to travel into a privilege. You are not denied the right to travel. You may be denied the privilege of traveling via a motor vehicle that you are operating.
I get the impression that this magistrate may not have much experience dealing with sovereign citizens because he is explaining far more than necessary. In my opinion, he's doing way too much talking. It almost feels like he's trying to convince someone that the sky is blue. At certain moments, it even seems like the sovereign citizen might be gaining ground, though I'm not sure if that's actually happening or if it just looks that way because the magistrate is giving him so much time to speak. That said, I do respect the magistrate for at least allowing him to be heard. But at the same time, these sovereign citizens really shouldn't be allowed to ramble on endlessly with this nonsense. At this point, it's just a waste of everyone's time. And if you look at the officer standing at the bottom of the screen, he looks like he's just thinking, I want to go home. Let me know what you think. Is this magistrate letting the guy talk way too much? Or is he being fair? Let's jump back in.
So
Okay, so I
that is what the law says, and that's what I'm finding. Is there anything
okay,
else you
so
want me to consider about that finding?
Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147. Do you mind telling me what the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in that?
US 147 doesn't give me the site of a case. That's an incomplete site of a case. Okay.
It was Shuttle.
And if you wish me to consider the case, why don't you tell me what was at issue in the case and what year it was decided?
I said Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147, 1969, where it says
hold
no
on.
license.
US 147 is not a complete site. The way you cite to a case is by name and then volume number and then the name of the publication and then the page number. So, for instance, when you said 769 Fed 2nd 1344, what that means is volume 769 of a book or volumes called the Federal Reporter, second edition, at page 1344. So when you're asking me about this most recent case that you've talked about, what you said was US 147, I think. That's not the citation to a case. So you're going to have to tell me more about that case. Who were the parties to that case and what issue was before the Supreme Court in that case?
Okay, so you didn't hear me cite the name of Shuttleworth v. Birmingham?
I heard you say the name. That doesn't tell me what, that's not a complete cite of the case.
All right. Do you not have the documents that I filed when I filed to say that I want to have an informal hearing? The affidavit that writes that my
there are documents that have been scanned into the court that you dropped off.
Okay. So
from those documents, why don't you tell me the proper citation for Shuttle versus Birmingham?
Okay. Traffic infractions are not crimes, blah, blah, blah. Person faced with okay.
Right. Traffic infractions are not crimes. That's absolutely correct. They are civil infractions for a reason.
I was reading from a different case, but the case that I'm citing from states that no license necessary to drive an automobile on public highways, streets. No license is necessary. The word operator should not include any person who solely transport his own property and who transport no persons or property for hire
Where's that
compensation.
citation from?
Okay, I just appeal it, and that way I can make sure all citations are.
That's fine. I mean, the idea is I can't look up what you're telling me, right? Without a
Okay.
proper citation. So you can
Uh,
read, I mean, for all I know, and I don't mean this, I'm using a farcical example. For
okay.
all I know, you're quoting the municipal court in Honolulu, Hawaii, which has no
Right.
jurisdiction over Michigan,
It's
right? I
understandable.
don't know.
Okay, so
At this stage, the magistrate seriously needs to bring this hearing to an end. The sovereign citizen can't even correctly quote the cases he has scribbled down in his notebook. It's like watching someone try to give a book report on a book they never actually read. This whole thing is a complete joke. Honestly, I don't know how the magistrate is managing to stay this patient. It feels like he's trying to explain very basic legal concepts to a brick wall. I know it's technically his job, but this just feels like way too much explanation for someone who clearly isn't listening. What do you think about this? Let's move ahead to the sentencing.
so I would cite Payne v. Massey, 196 Southwest 2nd, 493, Texas, 273.
Okay. Well, and I can tell you that Texas law, a court interpreting Texas law, that decision wouldn't be controlling on a Michigan court. But that's fine. I think I understand where you're going. If you want, I don't need to consider anything else. I'm just asking you, is there anything else
Okay, well,
you want to present to me?
if you're not going to consider anything else, then we can proceed on to your ruling, of which I know you're going to find. So, and like
But
I said,
yeah,
like you said, I have a right to appeal it. So,
yeah, and I'm willing to listen. If you're going to quote something, I need to know what you're quoting, and I need a proper citation so I can look it up myself, right? Because otherwise, people could just run around quoting Mickey Mouse if they wanted.
is my automobile not my private, personal automobile that's not being used in commerce?
I would have no idea the use of your motor vehicle, and it's not relevant to me for the purposes of deciding whether you're responsible for these civil infractions.
Okay. Well, I have nothing else for you to consider.
Well, very good. I'm letting you know the law does not make a distinction between your using the vehicle for personal reasons or you're using the vehicle for commercial reasons when
But this,
your registration plate is expired and
but
when
the,
you fail to show proof of insurance. Both of those are
but the
required.
MCL language.
Both of those are required under Michigan law for anyone operating any motor vehicle. That's what I can tell
Okay,
you. So
correct.
if you,
A motor vehicle to which I am not operating a motor vehicle, and this is what we are trying to
I guess,
circumvent.
yeah,
I am
and
operating my
it's not
automobile,
circumventing.
not a motor vehicle.
I can tell you that an automobile is considered a motor vehicle under the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code. So that's fine. Is there anything else you want me to consider?
Nope. Nope.
Very good. All right. So I've listened very carefully to the evidence. I do find that it's more likely than not that when you were required to by Officer Kellums at a traffic stop show proof that your vehicle was insured, that you failed to do so, and that it is more likely that your operator's, or not your operator's license, I'm sorry, the registration plates on the vehicle were expired. So I'm going to assess the $125 on the no proof of insurance case and the $110 on the expired plates case. All right. Thank you both for your time and patience. You're all set. Have a very good day.
I
Thank you,
sure
sir. You
will.
too.
You too.
I'll be honest, this sovereign citizen wasn't exactly like the others we usually see. Most of them tend to be rude, loud, and obnoxious, but this guy was actually fairly calm and respectful. He even told the magistrate to have a good day, which is something you almost never hear from these types of people. It honestly feels like he just wanted to test out the sovereign citizen script, and once he realized it wasn't going to work, he backed off. It was almost as if he finally understood that no matter how much he argued, the law was still going to apply to him. As for the $235 fine, I think that's completely justified. Expired tags and no insurance are on him. Those penalties exist for a reason, to hold people accountable and keep everyone safe on the road. It's not like the law is trying to financially destroy him. It's simply enforcing basic rules that protect the public. If you don't follow those rules, you have to face the consequences. It really is that simple. So what do you think about this court hearing overall? Did the magistrate handle it properly? Or should he have been more firm? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Take care.